Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we are heading to one of the most beautiful and mysterious temples in South India, the Veerabhadra Temple, which is located in Lepakshi. It's around 120 kilometers from Bengaluru, making it a perfect one-day road trip. The drive would be peaceful as the highway is very traffic-less, and as we leave behind the busy city roads, the scenery slowly begins to change. But this isn't just another ancient temple. Here, every stone has a story, every carving has a meaning, and every corner hides something that still surprises visitors even today. Before entering the temple, you'll notice something beautiful. Many devotees stop here to wash their hands and feet. At first, it may look like a simple tradition, but there is a deeper meaning behind it. When we visit a temple, we are not just entering another building, we are entering a sacred space. Washing our hands and feet is a way of leaving behind the dust of our journey, slowing down, and preparing our mind before meeting the deity. It's a small ritual, it only takes a minute, but it reminds us to enter with respect and a peaceful mind. You'll notice people of all ages doing this, might be children, parents, or grandparents. Some quietly offer a prayer before stepping inside, others simply stand for a moment. Taking in the peaceful surroundings, the atmosphere here feels completely different from outside. The sounds of traffic slowly disappears. Instead, you hear temple bells, the chants of devotees, the gentle breeze moving through the stone corridors. It's almost as if time begins to slow down. Before we begin exploring, let's first understand why this place is so special. The temple you are looking at was built during the Vijayanagara Empire in the 16th century. Back then, this empire was one of the richest and most powerful kingdoms in India. Its rulers were known for building grand temples, strong forts, beautiful cities, and supporting artists, sculptors, musicians, and scholars. Many of these temples built during that time are still standing today. But among all of them, Lepakshi has something unique. It's not famous because it's the biggest temple and not for the one which is covered in gold, but people come here because of the incredible skills of the people who built it. Imagine this 500 years ago, no modern machines, no cranes, no electric tools, everything was carved by hand. Every pillar, every sculpture, and every ceiling painting, everything you see here was created using a simple tools, endless patience, and extraordinary talent. Sometimes it's hard to believe human hands created something so beautiful and so detailed. As we walk around in this temple today, you will understand why architects, historians, engineers, and travelers from around the world continue to visit Lepakshi. Once you enter into the main temple, here we have the main deity of this temple is Lord Veerabhadra. Many people know Lord Shiva, but not everyone knows the story of Veerabhadra, and it's one of the most powerful stories of Hindu mythology. According to the Puranas, King Daksha was performing a grand yajna, a sacred fire rituals. Kings, sages, and gods from across the heavens were invited. But there was one person Daksha deliberately chose not to invite, his own son in law, Lord Shiva. Daksha disliked Shiva because he believed Shiva did not look or behave like a king. Shiva lived simply normal. He wore a animal skin. He covered himself in the sacred ash. He spent his time meditating in the Himalayas. So Daksha couldn't understand him. But Daksha's daughter Sati deeply loved Shiva. Even without an invitation, she decided to attend her father's ceremony. She hoped her father would accept her and her husband. But things did not go as she expected. Instead of welcoming her, Daksha insulted Shiva in front of everyone. Unable to bear the humiliation of her husband, Sati was heartbroken. In deep sorrow, she sacrificed herself in the sacred fire. When Lord Shiva heard what had happened, his grief turned into an unimaginable anger. It is said that in his rage, Shiva pulled out one lock of his hair and struck it against the ground. From that powerful energy emerged a fierce warrior. That warrior was Veerabhadra, strong, fearless, and unstoppable. Shiva commanded Veerabhadra to destroy Daksha's yajna. Veerabhadra stormed into a ceremony with tremendous force. the great ritual came to an end. Daksha was defeated, the gods themselves witnessed the power of Shiva's divine warrior. Later, Shiva's anger slowly cooled, compassion returned, Daksha was forgiven and brought back to life. This story reminds that the pride can destroy even the greatest of people, while humility and forgiveness always have the final word. Because of this powerful legend, Lord Veerabhadra is worshipped as a symbol of courage, protection, and justice. And this temple is one of the most famous places dedicated to him. Even today, thousands of devotees come here seeking strength, blessings, and protection from life's difficulties. As you walk towards the magnificent Nagalinga, and this is the most photographed place in Lepakshi, the entire sculpture has been carved from a single granite rock, and at the center is the large Shivlinga. Protecting it is the seven-hooded serpent, Adishesha. Each hood spreads out beautifully above the linga like a giant umbrella. The carvings is both powerful and peaceful at the same time. The serpent represents protection. Its wide open hoods reminds devotees that Lord Shiva is always under divine care. Standing here, it's impossible not to admire the skills of the sculptures. Every curve of the serpent's body, every scale, every hood, everything was carved from solid stone. And along with this, there is a popular story connected to these sculptures. Local guides often tell visitors that the sculptures began carving it while their lunch was being prepared. Instead of waiting, they started working on the nearby granite rock. By the time lunch was ready, the sculptures was complete. Whether this really happened or not, no one can say for sure. But stories like this, somehow people admire the talent of artists who worked there. Because when you are present there, the sculptures you witness with your own eyes. It almost feels impossible that human hands could create something so perfect. As we continue exploring the temple, we arrive at another fascinating place. This is the Kalyana Mandapa or the marriage hall. At first glance, it looks beautiful, just like the rest of the temple. Rows of beautifully carved pillars, detailed sculptures, and fine craftsmanship everywhere you look. But after a few moments, you'll notice something unusual. If you look above, there is no roof on these pillars. The hall is open to the sky, it's unfinished. And that's exactly what makes this place so special. Because behind this unfinished stone lies one of the most emotional stories connected to Lepakshi. This hall was planned to celebrate one of the most sacred events in Hindu mythology, the divine wedding of Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati. If the constructions has been completed, this would have been one of the grandest marriage halls of Vijayanagara Empire. Even today, the pillars give us an idea of what the builders have imagined there. If you look closely, every pillar tells a story. You will find a musician, dancer, gods, goddess, sages, animals, and floral patterns. Every carving is unique. It's amazing to think that even before finishing the hall, the sculptures had already created so astonishingly beautiful pillars. Imagine what it would have been look like if the roof had been almost completed. Perhaps we'll never know that. And that's a part of its mystery. And for this unfinished marriage hall, there comes a story of Virupana. According to local tradition, Virupana was an important officer in the Vijayanagara Empire. Some say he was the royal treasurer, others describe him as the governor of this region. But everyone agrees on one thing. He was deeply devoted to Lord Veerabhadra. His dreams was to build a temple that would inspire generations. And looking around today, you can say he certainly achieved that. But every great dream comes with challenges and difficulties. According to the popular legend, Virupana used money from the royal treasury to continue building this magnificent temple while the king was away. Some believe he expected to receive permission later. Others say he acted only out of devotion, believing the temple was more important than anything else. When the king finally heard about it, he became furious. He ordered the Virupana was to be punished. The punishment was severe. His eyes were to be taken. But before anyone could carry out the order, the story says Virupana accepted his fate himself. It is believed that he plucked out his own eyes and threw against one of the temple walls. Even today, many visitors are shown two dark reddish marks on the wall. Local people say those are the marks of the left by Virupana's eyes. Whether every part of the story is historically true or not is still debated by historians. There are no official records confirming every detail, but the legend has been passed down from generation to generations, and because of that, it remains an important part of Lepakshi's identity. Standing here looking at this unfinished hall, it's easy to imagine why people believed the story. The work suddenly stopped, the roof was never completed, and the temple remained exactly as it was, almost as if time itself decided to leave this chapter unfinished. As you walk towards temple corridor, you'll witness a large giant footprint. At first, it looks like nothing more than a large impression of in the stone, but the story behind it made it one of the most talked about spots in Lepakshi. If you look closely, the footprint is much larger than a human foot, and something else catches your attention. There's always little water collected inside it. Even during the hot summer months, when the surrounding rocks are dry, you'll often find this footprint holding water. No one can say for certain where the water comes from. Some believe it's a natural seep from the rock. Others see it as something sacred. Whatever the reason, it has become an important part of the temple's identity. And according to the local tradition, the footprint is believed to belong to goddess Sita. And that brings us to one of the most emotional stories from the Ramayana, the story of Jatayu, which I have covered in my next videos. So you can check out about the story of that Jatayu. And near the Nagalinga, we also have Lord Ganesh, carved directly into another massive granite boulder. This sculpture quietly sits beneath natural rock shelter. Unlike the powerful presence of the Nagalinga, this place feels calm, peaceful, almost welcome. Take a closer look at the Ganesha's face. There is a gentle smile. The ornaments are beautifully carved. His large ears, his trunk, the folds of his clothing, every detail has survived for centuries. What's even more interesting is how naturally the sculptures bend with the surrounding rocks. It's almost as if the sculptures didn't create Ganesha. They simply revealed the form that it was already hidden inside this. The people who built Lepakshi weren't simply constructing a temple. They were creating a work of art that would outlive them by hundreds of years, and somehow 5 centuries later it still leaves us speechless. And the Vijayanagara sculptures were truly masters. They did not just carve stones, they gave it a life. If you look closely, you will notice dances, how naturally they stand, their jewelries, their hairstyles. Even the expressions on their face look surprisingly real. Some pillars show musicians playing drums, flutes, and string instruments. These carvings tells us something interesting. Music and dance were an important part of temple life. Temples weren't only places to worship, they were also centers of learning, art, music, and culture. Festivals would bring people together from nearby villages. Classical dancers would perform here. Musicians would fill these halls with sound. Priests would conduct rituals while devotees gathered all around. Imagine standing right here 500 years ago, the lamps glowing, the fragrance of flowers, and the scent filling the air, the sound of drums echoing through the stone halls. It must have been an unforgettable sight. And if you look closely, we are standing in front of the temple's biggest mystery, the famous hanging pillar. At first, it doesn't look very different from others. It's only when someone points it out that you begin to notice something. And if you come a little closer and look at the bottom, you can see there's a tiny gap. This pillar does not completely touch the floor. It's hanging ever so slightly above the ground, just enough for a thin cloth or even a sheet of paper to pass underneath. For the first time, when people see it, they usually don't believe it. Most visitors immediately bend down to check it themselves. And yes, it's really true. Naturally, this raises a lot of questions. How is such a massive stone pillar hanging above the floor? How has it stayed like this for more than 5 centuries? No one knows the complete answer. Engineers believe that temple was built using an advanced understanding of balance and weight distribution. Instead of each pillar carrying the roof separately, the entire structure works together. Every beam, every pillar, every stone shares the weight. That's why this one pillar can remain slightly above the ground while still supporting the structure around it. Even today, modern architects admire this engineering. And the most amazing part is the builders achieved all of this hundreds of years before modern construction technology existed. And there is also an interesting story connected to this pillar. During the British rule, an engineer became curious about how the temple worked and how this pillar is still connected. He wanted to solve the mystery, so he tried moving the pillar slightly, but something unexpected happened. The nearby beams and surrounding pillars shifted. Realizing that the entire structure was connected, he immediately stopped. Even today, people say that the slight tilt seen in the pillar came from that attempt. Whether every part of the story is true or not, one thing is certain: the temple's design was far more advanced than most people imagine. Even after centuries, it continues to puzzle experts. And in the same spot, if you look up, there is another reason why Lepakshi is so famous: the ceiling. Most visitors spend so much time looking at the sculptures that they forget to look above their head. But that's where another masterpiece is waiting. These colorful paintings were created more than 500 years ago, and incredibly many of them are still visible today. They aren't just ordinary decorations, they are stories painted on stones. You'll find scenes from the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and stories of Lord Shiva, Vishnu, and goddess and saints as well. And they also depicted royal processions and many divine celebrations. The colors came from the natural minerals and plant based pigments. There were no chemical paints, no synthetic colors, yet many of these paintings have survived hundreds of monsoons, changing weather, and the passing of time. That's remarkable achievements. If you look carefully, you can even notice the jewelry, clothing style, hairstyle, and ornamentals people wore during those Vijayanagara period. For historians, these paintings are like a window into the past. They showed us how people lived, dressed, celebrated festivals, and expressed their faith. And the more you spend inside this hall, the more you realize something. This temple wasn't built in a hurry. Every inch was planned, every carving had a purpose, every painting told a story. It wasn't just a place where people come to pray, it was a place where art, architecture, musician, and storytelling and devotion come together under one roof. And we are the only one who explored a small part of it. And as we continue our journey through Lepakshi, we'll discover an unfinished hall that still carries one of the most emotional stories of the Vijayanagara Empire.
ॐ नमो वीरभद्राय महादेवस्य तेजसे दक्षयज्ञविनाशाय भक्तरक्षाय ते नमः सतीशोकसमुत्पन्न रुद्रग्रोधस्वरूपिणे धर्मसंरक्षणार्थाय वीरभद्राय मङ्गलम् लेपाक्षि क्षेत्रनाथा.
And when you start exploring the corridors of Lepakshi temple, you will witness a lot of sculptures written on those walls in a lot of languages like Telugu, Kannada, Sanskrit about the story of the temple. And this Lepakshi is much more than an old temple. It has a lot of history and faith incorporated in it. So if you are interested in the ancient temples and a lot of stories behind this, this is one of the most prominent in those categories.
शम्भोर्जकजुट्टसमुत्थिताग्ने सती विरहायाकुलरुद्ररूप दक्षात्वरध्वंसनदिग्धवीर वीरभद्रदेव पाहि माम्। रक्ताम्बरं भस्मविभूषिताङ्गम् खड्गं त्रिशूलं डमरुं वहन्तम् भक्तार्तिनाशं भयहाररूपम् लेपाक्षिनाथं प्रणमामि नित्यम्। विरूपण्णस्य दृढभक्तिभावा शैलं मन्दिररूपमभूद्दिव्यम् त्यागेन नेत्रे समर्पितेयः भक्तयः प्रमाणं जगदेकमेतत्त्वम्। नागेन्द्रछत्रं शिवलिङ्गमध्यम् नृत्यमण्डपं दिव्यचित्रमालाम् स्तम्भोऽपि लीनो गुरुतत्त्वमध्ये लेपाक्षिक्षेत्रं मम चित्तवासः। नमो वीरभद्राय महादेवस्य तेजसे दक्षयज्ञविनाशाय भक्तरक्षाय ते नमः। सती शोकसमुत्पन्न रुद्रक्रोधस्वरूपिणे धर्मसंरक्षणार्थाय वीरभद्राय मङ्गलम्। लेपाक्षिक्षेत्रनाथाय विरूपाक्षप्रियाय च विरूपण्णभक्तिभाव मन्दिरस्य प्रकाशिने नागलिङ्गाधिवासाय नृत्यमण्डपशोभिने भक्तानां भयहाराय अनुग्रहं प्रदेहि मे। जय जय वीरभद्र जय जय शम्भो।